Welcome back to the Kilcher Homestead YouTube channel. In this episode, we're repowering the Fair North Rose, our 32-foot landing craft custom built by Bay Weld Boats right here in Homer, Alaska. She's designed for landing on beaches, hauling cargo, and taking us hunting, fishing, and camping all across Alaska. After years of use, it's time to swap out the old motors for a major upgrade, Honda's brand new BF350 V8s. Before we get too far into this new motor install, let's take a look back at how the Fair North Rose came to life. Let's dive in. I'm getting this boat from Bay Welding and also doing a bunch of the work myself.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
The process of building this boat is basically taking it from the raw materials and starting to shape them into a hull. The reality is I probably could build a boat like this in my shop, but it would take so long. Bay Welding's willing to help me out, and it'll be that much faster, and that's pretty important.
That'll cut through the water nicely.
It's working. We're ready to add the sides on next.
So I'm back in my shop, and I got the nose of the boat just kind of pulled into the shop so I can get my welders to it. I need to do some work to it. I'm adding a forward steering station, which means I can steer from the front of the boat. But I need to do some welding, some grinding, so that's what I'm doing now. Let's get into it. I just cut this out. This is a template, so this is the exact shape that the controls are going to be. And I am going to glue it on there like that, and then cut this out of aluminum. So I've got exactly the shape, and I'm going to make a base to set the controls on. There we go. Now I can make an exact copy of this piece of paper out of metal. Should work pretty good. I'm sure that there's fancy like Plas torch things with computers that would do it too, but I don't have one of those, so this is how I'm doing it. I oiled this because it helps the bandsaw cut, but the oil took off my adhesive, so that makes it harder to make a perfect template. I should have scribed it. I guess I could still do that. If I scribe it and mark it carefully, then that would work too. I don't need to get it perfectly close with the with that saw. I can use a sander too to get it actually more perfect. So I put some more glue down. I think that'll hold it good enough for now. All I got to do is get it just a little bit more. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Now I'm going to drill some holes in it so that they're all in the right spot. And then we get to go weld it on the boat. Don't judge me. My shop's a mess, I know. It is so hard to stay ahead of everything in life when you're a busy Kilcher, just a busy individual, busy human. I'm sure that everybody has got stuff going on. Eve calls me a mad scientist.
Daddy is a mad scientist.
I think that's pretty accurate. Alright, now that I got my little plate made here, we're going to try setting it down on this thing and seeing how it fits. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a perfect fit. That's fantastic. That'll work great. See that? Just mount that sucker right on down there. So it's still got plenty of room for the gasket to seal tight. Now I'm going to weld a pipe on here that's going to come down, and that pipe is going to also get welded there. So this throttle control is actually going to sit up just a little bit, and I want that because I want all the water that's going to run down this rail from splashes and rain and everything. I want that to keep running down here. So if I just mounted this just hard down to it, there'd be a lot more water running past the controls. But if I can keep it up, elevated just a little bit, then all the water is going to primarily run down the rail and go away. So it's going to be way better that way. And I have a 13-inch steering wheel here, which is about perfect. It's actually very similar to the size of this bucket lid. So that's going to work out pretty good. It's like about a 1-inch piece of pipe is going to work pretty dang good. So I just need a 1-inch piece of pipe. I'm going to put this control away and keep it protected because these things are not cheap. Let's drill a hole. Did it. I drilled the hole. Feels pretty good. You've got to round it over so it doesn't have any sharp edges. Okay. This guy goes on right there. Right there. I'm going to weld that on. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Then we got that. Now this guy's going to go on just like that. And I was planning on TIG welding this one. Just like that. But I could also wire feed it. Sometimes it's easier if you tack it first. So I'm going to tack it probably here. I don't consider myself a very good TIG welder, so we'll see how I do here.
A few hours later.
Wow. I have been burning the midnight oil. It is midnight. Look how dark it is outside, but it's light in the shop. And I finished. So just mounting this guy right in there. Check this out. So I gotta cut these screws off a little bit. Make those screws a little shorter so that it sits tight and flush right there. So that's where that goes. And then I got my steering wheel. Right now I'm just using a bucket lid. Got this bucket lid right here, so that's gonna be about there. Steering wheel is gonna be about 8 inches up. So these will be at about the same level. And then I got room here for a like a GPS display that's going to go in right there at some point. That way you can kind of look over the top of the wheel. It's going to be a smaller one, but it's really nice to have depth sounder and GPS when you're running around so you know where the rocks are and you can also see how deep it is. So that'll go in there. And this is a major upgrade. Let's put some engines on this boat. Not today. We're going to do that tomorrow. What's up? Good morning. We just got to All Seasons Honda. Fair North Rose. I'm super excited because today is the day I get to start putting new engines on my boat. Taking these Suzuki's off right here and putting 2 Honda 350s on board. That's pretty cool. Here we are starting to get the motors all unboxed. Sure is cool to see them, and boy, they look great. They're definitely going to be some new shiny engines hanging on the back of my boat. I ended up having to put some new jack plates on the back. That's what you see mounted here. My old ones weren't capable of 350 horsepower, and these new ones are. Here you can see the motors all hung up. Boy, it's amazing looking at these things and seeing all the technology they pack underneath the cowling. These guys have got these motors mounted up. They're massive. They're so cool though. I'm so excited to get in the water and see how these things can push the boat around. I think it's going to make a massive improvement. So just a little bit more time, I think, and we should have these motors on here and be able to take it out on the water. So I just got my boat back from All Seasons Honda, and I'm super excited. Check these bad chickens out. I'm out on the spit right now, and I'm just about to put this thing in the water, but I came out here, I didn't check the tide. It's gonna be a negative 4.5, which is like massively low. I'm not even sure if like the ramps go out that far, which is crazy to have a tide this low. So our tide in our area it can go, like right now, the tides change, obviously, different times of the year. And right now, it's a negative 4.5 today in like an hour. And so that is really, really far down here, way far down this ramp. And so the tidal swing today, on the high tide, I think it's gonna go to like a 20 foot or something like that. So that's like a 25-foot difference between the high and the low tide, which is huge, absolutely huge. So you can see all this concrete ramp. It goes pretty far out into the water. I'm not sure if it goes far enough, that far, to the point where I can go, I can drive down. So I might have to wait till later in the day. So look at this. So there's the end of the ramp right there. And that's like 1.5 feet of water. So if I drove my truck down here right now, I would go off the end of the ramp. And I gotta go way farther out. So launching my boat right now is not happening. I'm gonna have to wait till later in the day and come back. Bummer. No launching the boat right now. I have to come back this afternoon. So I'm just gonna go park the boat over here in the yard, the big boat storage parking lot on the spit for a little while, and I'll come back, I don't know, sometime around 1 or 2. Try it again. All right, it is like 8:30 at night right now, and I just stuck my boat in the water, but I haven't fired it up yet. So I'm gonna go do that right now. We get to hear what these engines sound like. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, they're quiet. Look at those V8s. Wow. I'm gonna back her on off the dock here.
Are they peeing?
They're both peeing. Boy, they're peeing like a young stallion is what they are. Like
Let me try that.
Like 700 young
Let me
stallions.
try that. Not on my watch.
I don't think you got a stream that strong. I don't know if I got a stream that strong.
350 proud stallions right there. Woo!
Those things don't got horses. They're not 350 horses. They're 350 stallions.
You dreaming? Got 350 little seahorses in there roaring around.
So I'm excited about this. Yeah, huh? Not bad. Gotta tighten that down, I think. Well, there we go. Not the time of day to take it for a first test drive.
Nope, we don't want to get out in the middle of the dark and find out we can't. We gotta paddle home with our bare hands.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna come back tomorrow and take them for start the break-in process, which is gonna be kind of boring and fun at the same time. I'm just gonna want to push on the throttle.
Wow.
But you're not supposed to.
Well, an hour will be quick.
Yeah, it won't be that bad. All right, we'll see you guys in the light of day. It's a new day. Got the boat launched last night, but too dark to go anywhere and actually try anything. But I'm back here today. And I'm here a little bit later than I wanted to get here because I was on my computer editing videos all day on this gorgeous day, which I don't really like that much, but it's an important part of the process to get you guys content. So you can see what it's like in Alaska on the Kilcher Homestead YouTube channel. And I am heading over to the boat. So some differences here that I kind of want to talk about for a second. These new engines, they are about 100 pounds each heavier than my old motors were. And so they definitely have changed things a little bit. But the important thing is that my water line hasn't actually changed that much. Maybe about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or something like that. So that is well within the scope of this, this boat. But ultimately, it's gonna be really interesting to take it out today and go out on the water and see how it actually feels. So that's what I am super, super, super excited about. So we are gonna head out now, fire this thing up, and go motor around for a little bit. I can't go very fast yet. I'm still what's in called the break-in period, which is like, I gotta consult the manual again, but it's like about an hour of keeping the engines at low RPM, basically just idling. And then there's a couple hours of trying to keep them at, you know, below like 3,000 RPMs or something. We'll look at the book here in a second and I'll tell you guys exactly what the program is. I'm gonna lower these engines into the water. Here we go. Nice. So that's the trim that's going down now, the trim and tilt. Let's take them all the way down. There we go. And now I'm gonna lower the jack plates. The jack plates are like a vertical lift that I have up and down on the engines, and so that can lift them a little bit higher out of the water. It also gives me the ability to maneuver in shallow water better. They also, depending on how the boat is weighted, it gives you the ability to kind of move your propellers vertically up and down without changing their thrust angle, because with the trim and tilt, you're changing the thrust angle of the motors themselves, and so it's pushing water up or down. But once you get that figured out, you kind of want to keep it in the same position, so we can use the jack plates to lift them vertically straight up to kind of change where the propulsion is happening perpendicular to the water line, which is pretty cool. It also, like I said, gives the ability to maneuver a little bit better in shallow water, so I can get the propellers basically like just under the surface of the water, so that as I'm going into shallow places, it helps keep me from hitting the motors on the bottom, which you really don't want to do. All right, I'm gonna fire them up. All right, looks like everything's started up good. I'm gonna untie the boat. It's pretty cool being out here by these motors. Look at these big old things. They're surprisingly quiet for being two V8s. They're basically race car engines times 2. This is one of the things that I am the most excited about right here, is steering from the front of the boat, driving from here. And it feels totally wild. It feels different, totally different. You know, with a boat, you kind of have a certain pivot point. You know, it steers from the back, but it doesn't exactly steer from the back. That's where the steering is happening in the propulsion, but it kind of has a pivot point, you know, it's pivoting somewhere. And so I have gotten very used to, when you're sitting in the seat, knowing where the boat is pivoting from. So to be here in this far forward on the boat now, and I try to steer, and it doesn't feel very reactive. It does a lot, but I'm realizing the back is still moving around a lot, but my point of reference with the front is totally different. It's kind of cool. I've been wanting a steering station up here for a long time, because, you know, before I had this boat, I had a lot of skiffs, just open skiff, which is, you know, just a small open boat without any house to go in, any steering station. And while I love that, like, I wouldn't trade having a house on a boat for anything. You get out of the weather, especially in Alaska. But on those really nice days in the summertime, I miss being out in it and feeling the wind in my face. And oftentimes on those nice days, I got Eve's here, a bunch of her friends, kids, they're all out on the deck enjoying the sunny Alaska, beautiful weather. And I'm inside, you know, and so it's really, really cool to be able to be out here and drive from out here. It's going to especially be cool when we get into some pods of killer whales or porpoises, because I'll be able to drive from out here and be able to see the porpoises, because they like to ride your bow while you're cruising along and stuff. So that is really excited. Oh, all the potentials for being able to drive from out here is going to be pretty cool. All right, I'm going to go inside and look at what the break-in period is on my boat. Break-in procedure, 10 hours. First 15 minutes, run the engine at trolling speed. Use the minimum throttle opening necessary to operate the boat at a safe trolling speed. So that is what I've been doing. That is what I've been doing. I'm well over 15 minutes now already for that. Run the engine up to a maximum of 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, which is about 10% to 30% of maximum throttle opening. Operate at a maximum of 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs should be limited to 50% of the 45 minutes. So I can go up to a maximum of 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs. So I can go up to 2,000, 3,000 RPMs, but I don't want to do that for more than like 20 minutes spread out over the course of the next 45 minutes. So let's see, the time now is 2:40. What? Ivan has a cell phone? I thought he lived in the bushes of Alaska with nothing but a really nice boat. Yep, I have a cell phone, folks, believe it or not. The Kilchers have technology. No, I don't think at this point anybody wondered anything different. Over the years on Alaska The Last Frontier, Discovery really liked to make it look like we lived a certain way. And I catch a lot of flack for that still, of people saying like, you said you lived out of town. I actually never really said that. Discovery said that, the narrator said that all the time, and that was not really something we could control, but they did. So the time is 2:40, and so 3:15-ish, that 45 minutes should be up, and we get to try something different for a little while. But for the next 45 minutes, I get to go to 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs. I'm really excited because I get to see what this boat does at that speed. I'm gonna bring it up to 2,500. Ooh, it's got some push. Wow, these engines are so much quieter and so much smoother. Oh my God. Oh, holy cow. They are so much smoother. I am mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling how much quieter it is in here than usual. All right, we're gonna drop it back down now. I'm gonna drop it back down now to like 1,500. My dad might want to go on a ride with me. That'd be fun. I'm gonna call him. He doesn't always get texts very good. So I am so blown away with how much quieter this thing is. I gotta text Revan and let him know. My mind is blown right now with how much quieter these engines are than my old motors! Exclamation point. This is crazy cool. So I just texted my friend Trevin. Trevin works for Honda. He's like the regional mechanic for like the west coast of the United States and maybe some of Canada too. So he does like a lot of the trainings and stuff like that. And he, boy oh boy, he was not lying when he said that I was going to notice a substantial reduction in sound, and I sure did. Okay, here we go. Got some interesting pages here. So we're burning 3.5 gallons per hour. Getting 1.9 miles per gallon right now. So I've got my one engine at 2.5 thousand RPMs, 2,500 RPMs, and I'm getting, I think I'm probably going to end up putting different propellers on this boat. Well, my dad wants me to pick him up, so I'm going to go over here and pick him up off the beach.
So, how you like it?
I like it.
What's that there? You got a whole steering station?
I got a whole steering station right here,
oh,
man.
Man, you are ruined. Pretty sweet. Are you sure you can let the back end of the boat do all that stuff without?
I know. It feels weird. It totally feels
sure.
weird. Wow! Holy smokes! My RPM is 4,200 right now, and I'm going as fast as I used to go. Let's bring it up to 5,000.
Oh shit, man!
And we've already hit 43, and we are still accelerating.
45 miles an hour. That's dangerous out here in this stuff.
Especially on these high tides.
Yeah, you had to hit logs, sea otters, seals, scuba divers. Well, thank you for inviting me along, Ivan.
Oh yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
Huh? Well, Dad, thanks for coming along.
Yeah, man, that was
That was
really,
fun.
really great. Huh?
That's a major improvement, huh? So much quieter in there.
Okay. See you later.
See you later.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. So we kind of made it through the first couple hours of break-in period, and I had a blast. And I am overwhelmingly blown away with how much different it is in here driving this boat with these new Honda 350s in here. I feel like it's probably one of the best things I've done to this boat beyond just building it. So it is crazy quieter. It is more than 50% quieter inside of the wheelhouse. And so I think that a lot of that has to do with just the vibration, and like with the Suzukis, they kind of had this certain vibration going on that would really resonate inside the wheelhouse, and it really was kind of maddening after a little while. Whereas now with the Hondas, they're so much quieter that there's no vibration happening inside the wheelhouse, and so it's really, really pretty quiet throughout the entire power band. So that's like one major improvement. I mean, that alone to me would have been worth it. But on top of that, huge fuel savings. So before, you know, I was getting like the best I could really get with my engines running was maybe 1.2 miles per gallon. Sometimes when the boat was low on fuel, so it was light, and it also was like running with the tide or something like that. But most of the time, I wasn't even getting 1.1 mile per gallon. I would just tell people this boat gets 1 mile per gallon, which for a boat is not great, but not terrible either, you know? Now, I'm getting like somewhere between 1.5 and 1.7 miles per gallon. That is like better than a 30% savings in my fuel economy, which is huge. When you think about that, it costs $1,000 roughly to fill this fuel tank. I can go, for that same amount of money, I can go 30% farther, which means I'm using 30% less fuel, which that, over the life of the boat and the motors, that's gonna save me a ton of money and will potentially pay off the motors fairly quickly. So the third thing that's amazing about this boat is going from, the Suzukis were V6s, 300 horsepower V6s, and these are V8s, 350 horsepower V8s, and I am running them with the excess power. I am maintaining the speed that this boat really likes to cruise at about 32 miles per hour, and I can hit that speed at 3,500 RPMs. Wow! I was typically somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000 RPMs to hit the speed that the boat liked to go at, which was, you know, about 32 miles per hour. So the fact that I can go the same speed and be running the engines at a really nice 3,500 RPMs is like, that is the real payoff in these motors, because it's gonna make them last so much longer. All in all, super great, best decision ever. Super thankful for you know, everybody that was a part of making this happen for me, and you know, we're gonna go have some fun. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get Eve and the kids out here, see what they think, and have a little pizza party on the boat. So keep watching. They each have 50 more horses underneath of the hoods, but they're so much quieter, and that's the part you're gonna like.
I cannot wait.
And less money to run.
That is good stuff.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the quiet. The quiet is what I want.
What do you think?
I love it.
That was the best fast boat ride I've ever had.
Way quieter.
Way quieter. I had conversations.
I know.
With my family.
That's pretty nice.
And my yeah.
Anyways, that was fun. And we're going to have so many more to come.
Because they're huge.
And they're cool because they're huge.
That's right, Sparrow.
And that's when she's Ivan's daughter.
Thanks for watching. We're going to have more adventures on the boat soon, so stay tuned.
So exciting.